Wanted to make a quick video here talking about replacing the drawer slide on a KitchenAid warming drawer. This is also going to apply to JennAir and realistically might apply to a lot of warming drawers. I had picked up this KitchenAid one. This is probably about 10 years old. I picked it up on Facebook Marketplace. They still sell this style of warming drawer. They've just updated the front. The thing that'll tell you that is the latest generation has a slow cook option, which I found pretty desirable. So I was specifically seeking out this generation of warming drawer, and I was specifically seeking out this style of front end because I also picked up the matching oven for an upcoming install. But when I picked it up, they had the drawer separated from the cabinet, the cavity. I was putting it in. There's a really strong magnet on the back, so that way when you push it in all the way, the magnet attracts itself to the back wall, pulls it tightly against the seal. The other side part of that though is it really wants to pull itself to the top of the cavity when you're inserting the drawer back in. And what happened was when I was putting it back in, it caught on this metal bracket here that holds in the ball bearings and popped it out, and then all the ball bearings came spilling out of this slide. So this one on the left here shows what it should look like. You see you have this metal bracket, it's holding in the ball bearings, and this is kind of the final movement piece within this rail to allow it to extend out further. So it caught here, came out, ball bearings came out. I was able to get some of them. A bunch of them rolled away and I couldn't get them, but I mean realistically, I don't know how the heck I'd put that thing back together. Fortunately, these are really non-special components, it seems. The manufacturer of these particular slides that came with it, called QualSlide, Q-U-A-L slide, I can't find any results for online. I'm not even sure if they're still around, but I couldn't find any actual references to an identical replacement. So safe to say they're using pretty darn cheap drawer slides, and side mount slides are already very simple, so I mean, big deal. So I took out one of these and just took it over to Menards and went to their drawer slide section and got one of identical length. So in this case, this is a 30-inch warming drawer. They're using 21-inch slides. So I was able to pick up a pack of these for a 2-pack was under 15 bucks. It looks to be pretty similar in functionality, travel, etc. It really doesn't matter. It's just a warming drawer. As long as it slides in and out, we're good. After that, to replace it, it's held into the cavity with 3 screws. They look like these, pretty simple looking sheet metal screws, it looks like. I'm not a screw expert, so I could be wrong, but that's what they remind me of. Took that out, drawer slide came out. The big problem came though from detaching this inner piece from the warming drawer itself. It's riveted in. So you can see the 3 rivets there. These look to be aluminum rivets, and so I thought to myself, well, I'm just gonna cut them out and re-rivet a new one in place. You can see I've got my rivet gun there. I've got another collection of rivets. So what I'm doing here is I took my Dremel with a metal cutting disc. I cut a line down the center, and then now I am using some pliers to just crush it so that way it'll fit within the hole, and then just pull this piece off. I'm gonna cut the video now and I will add on to this clip showing you when I get it removed. What I will say is that these cut substantially faster and crushed substantially easier than I was expecting. I think these might be aluminum rivets, which is good. I picked up a pack with both steel and aluminum. I wasn't sure what they were using for durability. I don't think strength is a huge concern here for a warming drawer. You're not putting dumbbells inside. So just some notes. So that ended up working just fine. You can see the piece fell down right there. Got the 3 rivets. I really think these were aluminum. Not a metallurgy expert here, but they were just really soft. So those came out. I'm gonna throw those over there. Now I'm going to place the deuce slide, the inner piece here, and see about riveting it into place. Now, the only thing I'm concerned about is naturally it needs to be pretty low profile on this side so it doesn't interfere with that operation. If I can't get the rivets to be nice and low profile, what I can do is just use like a carriage bolt or something, and it would just be an exposed bolt on the inside, which is no big deal. I would just like to avoid that so I don't have to worry about it loosening up over time and having to tighten it. So before riveting that piece, I decided to take the slide out and get it installed here. Ended up going in with absolutely zero problems. You can see it's got a bunch of attachment points to fit a variety of sizes. I just tried to line up with where it ends, just guessing, eyeballing it based on the original one there. So screws, I positioned it like that. Screw holes had absolutely no problem lining up. You can see there's an access point there, and the original screw just barely fit there, and then right there as well. Doesn't really seem to have any problem passing over them. It seems if I push on it as I push it, it just barely rubs, but I think once the warming drawer is installed, it'll go just fine. Doesn't seem to glide as freely as the other one. Maybe I could use some grease, because you can see this one doesn't even want to stay put in, right? Could be that, this one's had years of use, right? So it's broken in. We'll have to find out if this one breaks in at all. Not a big deal if, you have to pull the drawer with an extra gram of force. Big whoop. So, but yeah, drawer slide went in, screwed in just fine. Doesn't seem to be any problems. So now up on to riveting the new inner piece here. So quick update. Turns out these rivets I got don't seem to be large enough in diameter. Every time I rivet it, it'll just be able to pull right out, aluminum or steel. And I don't really know much about riveting sizes. So going to go to the hardware store down the road and pick up a pack of something slightly larger. Try those out. So I got it riveted in, ended up using 3/16 diameter. They seem to be almost exactly 3/16 in size, but because of that, it didn't really want to push in. So I had to take a 3/16 inch bit and just ever so slightly widen it. The other issue I had with these is that when they were riveted, the ends didn't really pop out fully, so they stayed like that. I had to take my Dremel and kind of cut it away. So I'm going to try fitting it in and see how this all worked out now that it's all mounted together. So I got everything mounted together, inserted it in. You just have to slide it in. One tip if you're ever pulling these out and you want to reinsert it, get one side in and then kind of use your hand to stop the magnet from pulling it up to the top like that, because it makes it a heck of a lot more difficult to insert into this side when you're trying to align everything. And that's how I ended up breaking the other slide. So yeah, no problems. You can see it's opening just fine. Comes out, it seems, all the way. Looks pretty even side to side as well. And then there doesn't seem to be any problem with the magnet pulling it tight against the seal. So to recap what we did here, unscrewed the previous drawer slide from the inside of the cabinet, drilled out the previous rivets that were holding it in. You can see the other side is still the original slide. I matched them to a completely generic and cheap 21-inch drawer slide from Menards, non-soft close, full extension. You can't do soft close because those plastic components just won't deal well with the heat inside the warming drawer. And then used 3 16th-inch rivets, 1/8-inch grip aluminum to re-rivet the new drawer slide in place. Now, one thing, when positioning the inner piece that's riveted to the drawer, I measured the original one here, which is 3/4 of an inch, and then I positioned the new one the same on this side, and fortunately the holes did line up just fine. This should apply to a whole boatload of KitchenAid warming drawers, regardless of size. Certainly ones from the past 12, 13 years. Actually, I think these came out 2013, 2012, maybe. So 14, almost 15 years now. Most likely the previous generation too. They probably used pretty similar generic drawer slides. The telltale here that you have one of the same generation is going to be the slow cook options right there. That was new starting in this generation. And all they do, because they still sell this exact warming drawer, all they do is they update the front here. So if you have one of these old ones and you really want to update it, you could probably go on eBay, hunt around for a little bit, get the drawer face here, and then it's 4 screws on the top, 2 screws on the bottom, and this pops off. I did end up disassembling this during this process to kind of give it a thorough cleaning. There was some grease that had spilled inside. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Hope this helps somebody. You can see there's kind of the stainless steel needs a cleaning. I did add new adhesive to the KitchenAid badge there. It was kind of getting loose over 12 or some odd years. These older style of front, I'm not sure about the new ones, but this older style is not fingerprint resistant, so it's just regular stainless steel. The upside to that is if you use a good cleaner and polish, it becomes pretty fingerprint resistant. It doesn't show smudges as easily, and it's really easy just to keep clean. The fingerprint resistant stuff, that's actually just this with a plastic coating on top. That's how it stops it from showing smudges. The downside of that is if you ever damage or scratch that coating, you're kind of SOL. At least with the stainless steel, it's more resistant to major scratches. There is technically a way to rebrush the finish since it's just metal, and I think it's just more surefire, longer lasting than the plastic coated stuff. Anyway, hope this helps somebody. If you have any questions, comments, etc., leave a comment. And thanks for taking the time to watch this.